think the way we're seeing it is that by the time the eastern deposits are starting to wind down, that's really when the western Athabasca projects are starting to fire up. And so I think what we're seeing is an evolution from east moving to the western side. So the future is really all about uranium mining in the western side of the Athabasca Basin.
Why should people be excited by particularly the west?
So historically, the Athabasca Basin's been an incredibly important jurisdiction for uranium production. There's been well over 70 years of production of uranium to the market. It's currently supplies around between 13 to 15% of the global consumption of uranium for nuclear power, and I'm absolutely certain that the next 50, 60, 100 years will be even more important.
Why should people be excited by particularly the west, the western basin?
Historically, for uranium, the beginnings of the Athabasca mining were in the eastern side of the basin. These were the original discoveries, the Key Lake Mine, the Rabbit Lake Mine. The two currently operating mines, McArthur River, Cigar Lake, they're on the eastern side, much more mature mining district. What I guess was a lot less well known, and something that I think were instrumental in changing, is just the importance of uranium elsewhere in the basin. So we made a discovery in Fission Uranium about 11 years ago on the western side. Where we are located, it was the first major uranium deposit found, followed by other explorers in the area also making world-class discoveries. I think the point I would make is that what we're seeing now is a dominance on the eastern side of the basin, the operating mines, the development stories, that is really starting to migrate to the southwest. So the future is really the uranium production, mining, new discoveries on the western side of the basin.
So how are things going to change when the western side mines come online?
What we're seeing is a bifurcation in the uranium industry. What used to be considered a global trading economy, I think due to the geopolitical tensions that are out there right now, that's why there is a bifurcation. So the main production these days is coming out of Kazakhstan. Well, Kazakhstan and being enriched in Russia. So I think what we're seeing is that there has to be a lot more dependence on the North American assets for the Western utilities. The Western US and of course the European markets will be dominated by production coming out of North America and probably the friendlier jurisdictions in Africa, whereas on the other side of the equation, the Kazakhs will be supplying more of the Chinese consumption and the Russian consumption as well. So that's really how the industry is changing, and that's the evolution that we're seeing. We're in the early stages of that, and I think that's going to become much more evolved over time.
Are you finding there's enough support for North American, Canadian mines?
There absolutely is the uranium in North America to be able to provide the Western utilities. But these are new projects that have to get developed, and they need to work themselves into the production line. So right now, projects such as Fission's PLS, NextGen's Arrow, Denison's Wheeler River, these are projects that are in the development phase. They will be absolutely important contributors to particularly the Western utilities for from the next decade and going on from there.